I've read a lot of it. All right. Welcome back to Comic History, episode number 104. We're discussing the two men who held the identity of Mr. Terrific. First being Terry Sloane. Excuse me, who is noteworthy for having the words fair play on his jacket. And I haven't read a lot of Terry Sloane, sadly. Now, he made his debut in Sensation Comics #1. He wore, I'm looking at a picture of him, he basically wore like a green shirt with the fair play pointed up, red mask, red pants, red boots with like a green trim on it. First appeared in Sensation Comics #1, and mostly just appeared in Sensation Comics. Apparently he's described as like a self-made millionaire. I haven't read a lot of Terry Sloane. Mostly put what I've read about him with most of it in other books, but never. I've read a little bit of his original stuff, but the thing is, it seems like a lot of the stuff established for him was established years afterwards. Like, one of his bad guys, actually the guy who killed him in the 70s. So, for those of you thinking, like, was Terry Sloane, like, because he's usually depicted as usually like a founding member of the JSA, he was not. No. He then joined the group in issue 24, and was part of the group for a bit. And then, by the time the team reunited in the 1960s for the annual team-ups, he was kind of there, but didn't do a lot. There wasn't really a lot for him to do, per se. Nothing against people who like Terry Sloane. It just said for me, I haven't read a lot of him, so I don't have much experience with reading his stories. So, and then he died in issue 171 of Justice League America back in 1970s, killed by apparently a retcon old enemy of his known as the Spirit King. And there was a really cool moment in the JSA series when it was written by Jeff Johns, where he actually met a time-traveling version of his successor, Michael Holt. And Michael Holt called him had a very good interaction with him, and actually gave him his blessing to be Mr. Terrific in the future. And years after his death, now, of course, there was a alternate version of him introduced in the Earth 2 continuity, who was a bad guy, known as Mr. 8, who didn't do a lot. He did interact a little bit with his successor. Well, they're not really. He interacted with Michael Sloane a little bit, but didn't do a lot per se. So nothing against so like I said, nothing against people like Terry Sloane. It just, I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough reading knowledge of him. So, and plus, he did make one appearance on the Just Like TV show where he appeared in a flashback. And I think he also appeared in like one of the TV shows, and that was it. But as for his successor, Michael Holt, I do have a lot more experience with him. Yes, the man who succeeded him. Made his first appearance in The Spectre, Volume 354, written by John S. Renner and Tom Mandrake. Michael Holt was the guy. Now, in the story itself, his wife had just died in a car crash. He basically was about to commit suicide until the Spectre stopped him and told him a story about the original Mr. Mr. Terry Sloane. And then 8 issues later, for the book's final issue 62, he became Mr. Terrific, and he talks to Wildcat about it, like, you got a problem with Mr. Terrific? He's like, no, Terry's one of my best friends, I approve of you, be he approved him. And then, not long after the book got cancelled, he became part of the JSA, Michael Holt, with his fantastic suit. Now, his original costume was not the iconic costume. It's not like, this is a slightly different version of his costume, with a little more orange trim on it, but on the sleeves, it actually said fair play. It wasn't until he became part of the JSA in 1999 that he started adapting the more iconic suit. And he basically was part of that group for pretty much that entire run, from 1999 until DC relaunch of 2011. At one point, he was elected leader of the team. This was after basically an incident involving Roulette breaking through headquarters and kidnapping members of JSA for her little fight club. which they had, at the time the group started, it was actually Sand, the former Sandy, who was the former sidekick of the original Sand, Wesley Dodds, who was the leader of the team, but he was elected by unanimous vote, and he was surprised. So it's like, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to update our building security. Because, of course, he's the owner of Terrific Tech. Eventually, Terrific Tech itself got bought out in the pre-Flashpoint continuity by Wayne Enterprises, which it did. And he still kept it. It's not like what he was in the post-Flashpoint continuity. I'll get to that. So then, of course, basically, he was continuing part of the JSA. He occasionally appeared in people's books, but mostly for his home book he was in with Justice JSA / Justice League America, where he was written really good by James Robinson, Jeff Johns. I don't remember who wrote the book. Bill William did a pretty interesting job with him. But mostly put, he was stuck with the JSA throughout this whole period of time. And then the DC relaunch happened in 2011. And so DC Comics decided to give him his own first of 2 ever solo books. Where they, if I can find it here. This is what they redesigned his costume to look like. And also, for some weird reason, I have no idea why the writer of the book thought this was a good idea to do. They had it where in book, Power Girl was his girlfriend. Yeah, I have no idea why, but that's basically what happened with that. Book didn't last very long, was canceled after 8 issues due to low sales. It was actually one of the first titles to get canceled with the started the Wave 2 titles. His story continued in DC Universe Presents number 0, which, fun fact, this issue was not collected in the Mystific trade. This short story with him was actually collected in the DC Universe Presents trade, and also Earth 2. Because, so, Michael Holt decided to open a portal to Earth 2. And he remained there for the next few years. Where he was there, he was interacting with a lot of people. He interacted with Terry Sloane, which they interacted a little bit. Eventually, later on in the series, Power Girl joined the series, and these two had 0 interaction. There was no mention of these two being in a relationship, because Power Girl was trying to hook back up with basically the Black Suit Man of the series, because Richard Superman died. Valzad, I think his name was, yes. So, and Michael Holt was definitely there, still wearing the new 52 design. And then eventually he became a player in the Earth 2 World's End book. And then once Earth 2 World's End were out there, you think, oh, was he part of the Convergence stuff? Well, not really, no. He was not part of the team. He did play a little part in Earth 2 World. In Earth 2, Earth 2 Society, he played a supporting role in that series. And then by the time the book ended, he randomly returned back to Prime Earth. It was by sheer randomness. Like, after Earth 2 Society ended, he just shows up in the build-up to Dark Knight's Metal. Batman's like, oh, hello, Miss Terrific. I didn't hear you. I heard you came back for Earth 2. And I think a lot of people who read that are probably like, when the heck did that happen? One of, like, a couple times, Scott Snyder just said that stuff. Like, I love the guy's work for Batman, but good gosh, this is one of, like, twice. He just randomly has stuff happen after his run wrapped up that he just did not bother to give an explanation of when the heck this happened or how this happened. The other time this happened was with Two-Face. Even Tomasi basically was ticked off with it, with that. And he was there. He did not really play a role in dark metal or even death metal. He didn't do a lot per se with the Rebirth era. Actually, no, he was part of their group. Yes, so after Dark Knight's Metal wrapped up, he was given kind of a group series of his own, known as the Terrifics, which was mostly done by Jeff Lemire, and it was finished up by the writer of New Superman, which was basically also was in the book that apparently it was Earth 2. Simon Stagg bought his company without his consent. And so they started this brand new team comprised of characters. You're like, really? So he led a team with Metamorpho, Plastic Man. Yeah, he came back thanks to the events of death metal. Of metal, he was actually an egg for like a couple years. And Phantom Girl of the Legion of Superheroes. Yes, she arrived in the present and she kind of was stuck there. They did have like a separate team. Eventually, of course, Traffic got back his company. There was some Metamorpho lore explored a little bit in Traffic's book. Eventually, put Terry met an alternate version of his late wife Paula, who became Miss Traffic on her Earth, and they kind of fell for each other. It didn't go anywhere because since the book wrapped up, she disappeared. And now, as for what he did after that book wrapped up, not a lot. He did become part of the JSA once again for Jeff John Justice League America book and the JSA book relaunch. His appearances have mostly been very sporadic at best. Yes, very sporadic. It's almost like, oh yeah, and also he did get his own spin-off miniseries thanks to the thanks to the Superman movie. With now, of course, he did have 2 live-action versions himself. The first being the one appeared on Arrow. Yes, Arrow. Where now, when they added this guy, now he did first appeared in Justice League Unlimited TV show, which he was wearing the outfit at that point. He also appeared in Beware the Batman. So the whole thing with when they had Miss Terrific pop up on Arrow, they said Adam was gay, and people were like, oh crap, did they out Michael Holt as gay? No, they outed. Basically, the one they have here in the show is based upon Michael Holt's brother, and they have him become Mr. Terrific, and he had a husband, and his name was Paul. And I guess they had to have someone with the name Paul in because his wife's name was Paul in the comics. And then they got divorced due to him finding out he was a vigilante. And then he hooked up with some other guy in the show. Then they had a more proper adaptation of Mr. Terrific thanks to the Superman live-action movie. Which, I actually like that version. And, of course, he did appear also in the Peacemaker TV show, which I haven't seen yet. Mostly put, he did appear in the other movies. He did appear in an alternate version of himself in Justice League Gods and Monsters. Very interesting movie. I like that one. He did also appear as a unspoken cameo in Justice League Crisis on 2 Earths. He did appear in a few video games, most of them in very minor roles. Now, Michael Holt himself is a great character. I found him to be much more interesting character to read because I basically read a lot of his stuff. Me. Yeah. So, also during the Rebirth, I think it was Jeremy Adams' run for the book. He made Mr. Terrific a supporting character in the book because while he became an employee of Terrific Tech, I'm like, not a bad idea to do, and Simon Spirit kept in the book. So if you want to find Mr. Terrific nowadays in a comic book, you can find him either in Flash or JSA. And that's all kind of discussed with Mr. Terrific. Now, of course, the Michael Holt version is the one with the T-Spears. The original one had that he was basically like a martial artist. And now, one thing both have in common is that both Terry and Michael have one thing, big thing in common with each other, is that these two have no powers. Yeah, they have no action powers. They're just basically really good, really smart. Um, but there's not really much else to say about these two characters. But that's pretty much the particular video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, to notifications. You know, I'm going to say my comment corner after I watch Project Red. Okay? Bye.